666.
As I mentioned yesterday, Lucian, I went down a wormhole on hydrogen.
We have a big thing coming up.
yeah, my apologies. I don't recommend it. So the trigger for my wormhole adventure was the quoted I added to the Sustig Review Daily newsletter this Tuesday. I don't know if you recall it, but it was from an essay by Mohammed Khalid al-Yahya in the National Interest entitled, quote, "What Saudi Arabia Wants from America." Al-Yahya is the former editor-in-chief of Al Arabiya English newspaper, and the piece discussed Saudi frustration, disappointment with recent U.S. foreign policy towards the region. The quote I pulled wondered why, if the Biden administration was interested in clean energy, why the U.S. wasn't invested in NEOM, which has enormous clean energy ambitions. All right, so it was part and parcel of a piece that talked about, the larger U.S.-Saudi relationship. Anyway, sort of walked away from it and looked at it and said, hey, it soon dawned on me that is incorrect. We are invested in NEOM and specifically clean energy. Air Products, a U.S. company with 17,000 employees and operations in 30 countries, is at the heart of NEOM's green hydrogen play. The project is called Helios, and it's a $5 billion project, including Air Products and Aqua Power International. They plan to begin marketing green hydrogen by 2026. Now, this is actually the preferred American way, let the private sector take the lead. But sort of inspired by my hasty and incorrect inclusion of that quote, I thought I should look into what, in fact, the U.S. has to offer on clean energy for Saudi Arabia, specifically green hydrogen and blue hydrogen. So, and believe me, this was a choice of many, many directions to go, but I found this interesting. So on green hydrogen, Lucian, did you know that last June, the U.S. Department of Energy launched the hydrogen Earthshot?
I did not know that. Like the moonshot, but for hydrogen.
Exactly. Well, you were all over that. But it seeks to reduce the cost of clean hydrogen by 80% to $1 per 1 kilogram in 1 decade. So 111 is that moonshot, that Earthshot, hydrogen Earthshot. It has $9.5 billion to spend on research and technologies, interesting technologies. And just last month, it invested $500 million in a massive green hydrogen project in Utah. Currently, the U.S. is the world's second biggest producer and consumer of hydrogen, accounting for 13% of global demand. All right, that's green hydrogen. Blue hydrogen, and specifically the key to blue hydrogen is carbon capture, use, and storage. And carbon, as we know, CCUS or CCS, however you want to term it, is a huge feature of Saudi Arabia's decarbonization plans. And North America, mostly US, accounts for approximately 50% of active CCUS projects. And of the 29 carbon capture and storage facilities in the world, 16 are in North America, again, mostly in the US. And 80 of the 141 CCS facilities in development globally are in North America, again, predominantly in the United States. So America's dominance in CCS is partly due to the explosion of natural gas production and specifically enhanced oil recovery techniques, i.e. shale. What particular $100 billion Saudi natural gas project might this apply to? And we're talking about Jafurah, which is an extra deep seawater shale oil play expected to come online in 2024. It's projected to reach 2 billion standard cubic feet produce 2 billion standard cubic feet per day by 2025. It will use CCS technology and offtake to produce blue hydrogen. To date, 10 billion in engineering, procurement, and construction contracts have been awarded to 16 undisclosed domestic and international companies. I'm pretty confident U.S. companies are competitive here and involved in that, one of those 16, because we have, the world-leading technology on that and tremendous experience. All this to say that when the U.S. and Saudi Arabia find a better equilibrium in terms of its relationship, I would hope that it will involve great U.S. support and interest in the kingdom's energy transition goals. When that time comes, American companies are extremely well prepared to help. And as I said, specifically in green hydrogen and blue hydrogen. So there's where I ended with the wormhole. I could have gone a million different ways, but it was encouraging to me, as I said, U.S. likes to lead with private sector and have them involved. That certainly there's significant competence in the U.S. in these sectors that can be helpful to Saudi Arabia.
What's really interesting about this, and that was really good. We did talk yesterday about this, and I wasn't sure where you were going to come out on it. But this sort of makes me, my first reaction to this is it sort of reminds me how when reporters, like, so imagine like an NFL team or a professional sports team, there's drama with the owner or there's drama with top level management, and reporters end up asking the highest paid players about the drama in the in the executive suite with the owner or the top managers, and the players always look at the reporter saying, "I'm not here to talk about the drama I'm here to play baseball or football. I'm focused on what we're doing, like what my job is." And it sort of reminds me of the U.S.-Saudi relationship in that way. There is sort of drama at the highest level, political drama, and yet these U.S. companies are still leaning into Saudi Arabia. Air Products was a great example. And Richard, throughout all of these conversations we've had on the 966, so many so far, you sort of get the sense that on the ground, there is a connection between the B2B community, the business community, and what it's just really interesting that there's all this noise above their heads, and they're saying, well, that's, there's noise one way and there's noise another way. But for us, we're really just focused on making the most money here, making the right investment in Saudi Arabia or vice versa. These are things, or in the defense space, U.S.-Saudi defense cooperation. I saw that a group of Saudi servicemen just toured a U.S. base last week. This is the type of stuff that doesn't make the, top headline, but is still going on. So I don't know if that added much to your conversation, which was really good, but it's just really interesting.
I think it's a good point. I think it's an accurate point, and it's something that actually the Saudi embassy, sort of reiterated recently. And when they had to go out, they went out and said, no, the relationship is good. Their institutional connections run deep and wide, and they're both government to government, but defense and private sector. These are the sinews of the relationship, and that's one reason I looked at this. That there's every reason to think that if energy consulting firm Wood Mackenzie has stated that the 2020s is likely to be the decade of hydrogen. If that's the case, and if, as we know, Saudi Arabia is moving ahead aggressively with green hydrogen play in the west in Neom, and a blue hydrogen play in the east in Jafurah, the U.S. the U.S. private sector, U.S. business can be constructively involved and helpful in this transition.